Welcome to Everyday English Practice channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about something incredibly important for anyone who is learning English: how to think in English. Thinking in English is one of the most powerful tools you can use to improve your language skills. It might seem difficult at first, especially if you are used to translating from your native language. However, with consistent practice, you can train your brain to think directly in English. And trust me, it's one of the fastest ways to become fluent in English. So, let's break this down and explore different ways you can start thinking in English every day. Why thinking in English is important. Before we dive into practical tips, let's understand why thinking in English is so important. When you translate from your native language to English, it slows you down. You have to first think in your language, then translate, and finally speak in English. This process takes a lot of time and energy, and it can make you feel less confident. On the other hand, when you think directly in English, your mind processes the language faster. You stop focusing on translations and start focusing on communication. This leads to more fluent conversations, quicker responses, and a more natural connection to the language. Thinking in English is key to improving both your speaking and writing skills. The more you practice, the more natural it will become. Step 1. Start with simple thoughts. The first thing you can do is start with simple thoughts. This is an easy way to begin the process of thinking in English. When you wake up in the morning, try to think about the first thing that comes to your mind in English. It can be something very basic. For example, when you wake up, think, "I am awake," or "It's time to start the day." If you're feeling happy, think, "I feel happy," or "Today will be a good day." Don't worry about making mistakes. Just keep it simple and let your brain get used to forming English thoughts from the very beginning of your day. This simple practice is a great start to thinking in English. Step 2. Name the objects around you. Another simple technique is to name the objects around you. This helps you expand your vocabulary and connect everyday things with their English names. Start by looking around your room or wherever you are. Try to name as many things as you can in English. For example, this is a table, that is a chair, there is a lamp, I see a window. If you're outside, you can say, that is a car, there are many trees, I see a dog. You can also practice by imagining what's around you if you're not in a room. For example, I am walking on a street, and I see a bus. This helps you build your English vocabulary and strengthens your connection between objects and their English names. As you continue to do this every day, you'll notice that you start to automatically think of these objects in English. Over time, this practice will become second nature to you. Step 3. Describe your actions in English. Once you get comfortable naming objects, you can start describing your actions in English. As you move through your day, describe the things you're doing. This helps with both vocabulary and sentence structure. For example, if you are having breakfast, you can say to yourself, I am eating breakfast. I am drinking coffee. I am reading a book. When you go for a walk. I am walking outside. I see a dog. The weather is nice today. When you cook. I am making lunch. I am cutting vegetables. This will help you start forming English sentences more naturally and quickly. Step 4. Think about your goals in English. Thinking about your goals in English is a great way to practice. This doesn't just have to be about big life goals, it can be about small, everyday tasks. When you wake up, think about what you plan to do that day. For example, I want to go to the park today. I need to call my friend. I will study English for 30 minutes. By practicing this, you're not only thinking in English, but you're also training your brain to switch into English when planning or setting goals. It helps reinforce the habit of thinking in English rather than in your native language. Step 5. Speak to yourself in English. This one might feel a little strange at first, but it's a fantastic way to practice and build your confidence. Speak to yourself in English. If you're alone, try having short conversations with yourself. Imagine you are speaking with someone else, but instead of waiting for them to speak, you answer yourself in English. For example, you might imagine someone asking you, "How are you today?" You can answer, "I am feeling good. I am excited to learn English." Or if you're deciding what to do, you might say, "I think I'll go to the store later. I need to buy some food." The goal is to get used to using English in real situations. Speaking to yourself helps you practice forming sentences, speaking fluidly, and getting comfortable with English. Step 6. Listen to English every day. Listening is another important step in learning to think in English. The more you listen to English, the more your brain will start to understand the flow of the language. Try to listen to English every day. You don't need to spend hours. Just 15 to 30 minutes a day is enough to make a big difference. You can watch movies, TV shows, or listen to podcasts. At first, you can watch movies with subtitles, but try to focus on understanding the meaning without relying too much on the translation. As you get better, challenge yourself to watch shows without subtitles to see how much you can understand. This will improve your listening skills and train your brain to think in English without needing to translate everything. Step 7. Read in English. Reading is another excellent way to practice thinking in English. When you read, try to read directly in English without translating every word back into your native language. Start with simple materials like children's books or short articles online. As you get better, challenge yourself with longer articles or books in English. If you don't understand a word, try to guess its meaning based on the context instead of stopping to translate it. For example, if you're reading a sentence like, "The dog ran through the park," and you don't know the word, ran, try to understand the meaning from the rest of the sentence. The dog is doing something in the park, and you can guess that ran means that the dog is moving quickly. Step 8. Think in English during conversations. As you start to practice thinking in English, try to use English when talking to others. Whether you're speaking with a friend, teacher, or language partner, make an effort to use English. At first, it might be difficult to respond quickly, but the more you practice, the faster you will be able to respond. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Every mistake is an opportunity to improve. Keep practicing, and soon speaking in English will become more comfortable. Step 9. Don't translate in your head. One of the biggest challenges when learning a new language is the habit of translating from your native language. It might feel natural to think in your own language and translate it to English, but this slows you down. Try to stop translating in your head. Instead of thinking, "How do I say this in English?" try to think directly in English. If you see something you don't understand, try to learn it in English, not your native language. This helps you think faster and speak more naturally. Step 10. Be patient and keep practicing. Finally, be patient with yourself. Learning to think in English takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, but with regular practice, you will start to notice results. Every time you practice, even if it feels small, you are making progress. The key is consistency. Try to practice a little every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. Over time, you will notice that your ability to think in English becomes faster, and it will feel more natural. And that's it. By practicing these techniques, you can start to think in English every day. Remember, the more you practice, the easier it will get. It may take some time, but with patience and consistency, you'll soon find yourself thinking and speaking in English more naturally. Thank you for watching, and keep practicing. You're doing great. The more you practice, the closer you'll get to fluency in English.